Welcome to VetMore Podcast, where science defies boundaries and medicine evolves one species at a time. From the microscopic to the monumental, every species tells a story. Welcome to our second VetMore Podcast, where cutting-edge veterinary medicine meets innovation. Join us as we explore the latest advancements in pet healthcare, from diagnostic breakthroughs to revolutionary treatments in gastroenterology, in endoscopy, in every aspect of veterinary medicine, in cell and gene therapies. I am Dr. Vassiliki Stathopoulou, a specialist in veterinary internal medicine and minimally invasive procedures. And this podcast is designed for all of you passionate people about healthcare industry, veterinarians, pet health professionals, passionate pet owners who just want to stay ahead of the curve. And I am thrilled today to host Dr. Maria Kokozidou. She's a distinguished veterinary scientist with expertise in anatomy, molecular biology, and cardiovascular research. She holds a diploma in veterinary medicine from Aristotle University and a master's degree in medical parasitology from the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. She earned her doctorate in 2003 from Justus Liebig University in Gießen with magna cum laude distinction for her research on PCR methods in leishmania in phantom detection, which is a huge problem in Europe and in the Mediterranean. With a German veterinary license and specialization as a human anatomist, she has held research and teaching roles at institutions such as the RWTH Aachen, Maastricht University, and Paracelsus Medical University. Her research spans from molecular parasitology to vascular biology, securing substantial grants for the university, including those from Boehringer Ingelheim and the Elsa Koenen-Fresenius Foundation. She has served as a reviewer for multiple scientific journals and contributed to international cardiovascular research initiatives. She's an amazing scientist, and we're going to talk about very, very interesting topics today, like what happens with the use of lab animals and how do they contribute in science and in experimentations. Are there any alternatives nowadays? So bear with us as we explore one species at a time. So Maria, welcome to VetMore Podcast.
Thank you.
I'm thrilled to have you here with us today. And I'm very, very humbled to have amazing scientists over.
Please don't start like this.
I mean, your name is very, very well known in the, not only in the vet health industry, but also in the human
Actually, I'm not known in the vet industry.
No, you are. Believe me, because I had a discussion with many veterinarians that I would have you over about a very interesting discussion, and not even one told me that they haven't heard about you.
Okay.
I would like to know more about your journey. What was the school that you graduated, and how did you become a veterinarian, first of all? What was the initial, idea about becoming a veterinarian?
The initial idea. First of all, to say that I was born in Greece, since we are speaking in English, because now I'm living longer abroad than in Greece. So I was born in Greece, I went to school in Thessaloniki, and then I took those pan-Hellenic exams that you also know.
The torturing ones.
The torturing exams, which I really hope that someday soon they will change the system. And I was in this direction of the medical field, which, as you know, usually is very, very scarce habitated. In my class, we were 12 people in a huge school. So I took the exam. The first
Were
choice
you brought
was...
up in Athens or in another town in Greece?
No, I went to school in Thessaloniki.
In Thessaloniki.
That's where I come from.
And I think that Thessaloniki will be very proud.
And I'm proud of Thessaloniki, I must say. It's a very nice inheritance. So anyways, of course, in those exams, I think at least almost everybody wants to go to medical school. And I was a little below the medical school. Of course, for me, dentistry, pharmaceutical school was not a choice, so the direct immediately was veterinary medicine. Of course, I had the choice to go for a second exam. Then I thought, okay, I'll go take a look at it and
see if I like it.
There. So I went there and I liked it, actually. So I stayed and I graduated. During that time, I was in the first group of students that ever went with an announcement in the Greek Veterinary Congress. We were a group of 5, 6 students with a parasitology department, and I think that may open my appetite for research. It was a small window to another world. There was not a possibility to start with a PhD. You know how things are in Greece many times.
It's very difficult
But
to get admitted.
I would like to stay in that. It doesn't worth it. So my father said, I'm there. Take your pick. So I decided to go for a master's degree in the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine.
Why do you think that there are so few people that after graduating from not only the veterinary faculty, but also the medical faculty, go into research? Everyone wants to be hands-on, clinical.
I think, first of all, I believe it is easier. It is easier. It doesn't require further education. It pays sooner.
That's true.
And if you are good enough, it will pay better for a long time. So, going to research and going to this battlefield of in between, human medics do not feel that you belong to them. Veterinary professionals also do not feel that you belong to them. So you are in this transition hybrid.
So you're in a gray zone in another planet, huh?
Yes, but I didn't care less, I must say. I was very glad that they accepted me because the London School is a school that decides who comes in. It's a school only with postgraduate students. It is a school that has students from all around the world. For me, it is one of the 2 big centers of the World Health Organization, which means we had teachers coming from all the sides of the world for 2 days to teach us. So for me, it was not so much what I learned, but what I experienced through the people that taught me, and also with my co-students. This year changed my life.
There are
And
some
for me,
points in our
that was
life
for
that
me a
are,
pivot point.
yes,
You know?
that are
And
pivotal.
I said, that's it. That's the way I want to go. I don't know exactly where I want to go because you can imagine I'm now 57 and I was 24, 25. So it's a long, long time ago. And what everybody gets a flag today and waves it saying, One Health, no matter if they work on this subject or not, One Health.
Yes.
But those days, One Health was starting. We didn't have a clue, and nobody was even whispering this. And it were this interdisciplinary that in such big faculties it was starting because there were chemical engineers and mechanical engineers, and those days biomedical engineering didn't exist. So, and medical doctors and pharma people and everybody together. And for me, I said, okay, this is the world I want to live. And this is the world I want to build.
Was there a specific professor that actually inspired you gave you a push to go forward towards this path and follow this trajectory?
You mean in London?
Yeah, in London.
Not really, but I had many, many good people. Many good people. I think the majority of them were, they had a scientific testimony in their life. You couldn't take a pick.
And
we
you know
had
what? That if you are surrounded by people that can push you forward, then it's highly probable that you will go forward as well. If you're surrounded by people that...
The environment of this faculty is such because it is the King's College, the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, and the law school in London. This triangle, they are so interconnected. Those days I couldn't understand it. Now I can understand it much better. But it was collecting the creme de la creme of the world.
And this interaction with the other students and your
I was those days the youngest because all my friends with whom I'm still in contact and we still meet every 2-3 years, and we are scattered around the world. People are in Switzerland, Latin America. One of my best friends those days, he was German. He was the physician of the German president when he was traveling abroad. Today, the guy is crazy with his work, and he keeps on doing the same, even though he could be retired.
Because he has this passion, this drive.
So you are surrounded with people that their love for what they do exceeds mediocrity. Not because they are, they are genius. It is just an emotional thing that pushes them. No, they just love it and they go for it.
Exactly.
If you love something very much, I mean, it's the same thing with any kind of love. You just pursue it and you go after it, and no failure will put you down because you build upon failures. You go to the mirror, you say, okay, what can I do better? In the beginning, of course, you kick yourself, you smash yourself on the wall, and what did I do wrong, and not again, and everything. And then in time, you learn to pose the question positively. What can I do better?
Was this one trait that actually was useful to you, resilience, in order to live abroad and adapt to different cultures, and the fact that you were encountering difficulties, but in a positive way, with a positive attitude?
Sometimes I will say something funny now. We know from modern genetics that our DNA has memory, that our family history is deposited in us. If we ignore it, it will rule us. If we don't ignore it, we can use it to our profit. And I think this is one thing with me. My forefathers, they come from far away. They had to adapt.
Where from? You have to tell us.
I am 100% a Pontian Greek, but from
For
different
people who
parts.
don't know what this means that
Those are the Greeks that were living in what today is Turkey. Those are the Greeks that were, a bit ashamed to say, forefathers were the ones that taught the first ones teaching colonization. So I'm the product of this colonization, but those people went through a lot. They had to adapt a lot. There came a time that after many, many centuries, they had to go back to the homeland, which the only common thing they had with them was language and religion, nothing else.
we have to highlight that these were highly educated people as well. They were
Yeah, and
rich
people
people. They
that
were
had to
wealthy.
adapt a lot. I don't want to go into detail with my family, but they had to adapt a lot. Even within one generation, I know more or less what happened like 3 generations behind me. And in the beginning, when you're young, you think, oh, yes, I am this and I am that and I am the other. And then there comes a time that you relax and you realize that Kazantzakis was right, where he was saying that I climbed on the shoulders of my forefathers and I looked at the world. And actually, this is what happens. The sooner you accept it, the more you will enjoy the journey.
And then from veterinary medicine, you transitioned to human anatomy and cardiovascular research.
The thing is, there is always a way, because then I wanted to make my PhD because that was my master's. I could make my PhD in Germany because the offer that I had from UK was that I go to Africa, and it was sponsored for 2 years and it was a bit risky. So also my tutor advised me not to take it and I didn't. So I came to Germany where I was not speaking the language. I didn't know anybody in this country. And I started from zero, which was speaking English.
I am amazed with people like you. I've heard this story from other scientists that tell me that I went to a foreign country. I did not know anyone there, nor family, friends, or anything, and I did not speak the language. And for me, that's something, that...
No, I believe if you had been in the right circumstances, you would do the same. The thing is, I don't know who said it, but there's this saying, don't ask God to give you as much as you can handle.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is courage. To me, this is courage.
I'm always saying, this is a secret prayer of me. I'm saying, God, don't give me everything I can handle. No, I don't want to.
But that's amazing. I mean, how do you
I came
survive?
here, you're young. You're young. When you're young, you can do a lot of things. And you can handle a lot of failure. You can handle a lot of false choices because you will make them. You don't have the wisdom. You don't have the mind for it. You don't have the experience, and you are full of hormones. It's everything contra. So you will
but
make
I think this was the mentality back then, because now if you look at the children of this era, they are afraid to even dare to do something. they're not a thing, they don't have the audacity to go forward and fail.
Yeah,
They
because
don't take their responsibility.
they also have the illusion that they have the world in their feet due to internet and
Yes.
everything. But this is, of course, they don't.
But of course, they're smarter. They have other elements because, my
Yeah,
kids
they are.
are at that
They
age as
definitely
well.
are.
And I can see them. They're very sensitive. They're smarter. They're empathetic, but they don't have this boldness, to go out and
Yeah,
try
because
and
they
fail.
have not been provoked enough in their life. I also have contact to people that, let's say, are outside of the Western world, and they are different because they want to have a better life.
Yeah. And that's the
And
motivation, I
if
think.
you have a feeling that I do have a very good life, there's very little to strive for. The majority will not strive, will just sit on it, And as veterinarians, we know if you sit on eggs that will not brew, they will just go bad.
It's in medicine as well. That's the medicine. I mean, the field is evolving day by day, and you have to catch up. That's the job, actually.
So afterwards, to go back, I did my PhD here. It was because my master thesis was on leishman, so I continued with leishman, but then on a worldwide level because I did molecular epidemiology, a lot of fingerprinting. Of course, with a PhD, it is just the beginning. I've realized I want to learn more molecular. So you see, one thing brings the other. And then I just sent my CV. I don't know, this is what I tell to younger people and older people as well. Make a good CV and just send it everywhere.
Everywhere.
I mean, everywhere. Even if you forget where you sent it, it
Create
doesn't
your
matter.
opportunities.
Just
Create your
do it.
opportunities.
Just sit on your computer and send it. So then I got the offer to work in Düsseldorf, in the University of Düsseldorf. There was a station of the Human Genome Project. And everybody would say, what the heck are you doing there? There's no connection. I wanted the methods. That's why I went there.
Typically, there's always a connection. I mean,
So,
the
because
interspecies
I
medicine.
thought they have everything that goes on at that time point, They have money because it's a project that goes on and it has to be completed. And all it needs is people that will work in it.
And
I mean,
unfortunately, science needs.
Yeah. So I went there for 2
financial
years, and then the project that I was in was closed, and I looked for a new job. And then I got an offer from the University of Aachen, but there it was a real teaching, it was a faculty position. But they wanted somebody that would lead the S1, S2 laboratories, this molecular level. Basically, that was the main reason they wanted to have me there. And the head of the department, during the interview, he said, you will have to do a little bit of teaching, but you are coming from the medical field, so the Germans are saying, das können Sie mit links machen. Do it with your left hand.
Okay.
Thinking that the right hand is the good one. Huh?
Yes.
I didn't even pay attention to it. So when I started working and they sent me my plan, I thought, God, I never woke up to go to start learning when I was a student 4:00 in the morning, but I was going to the office 4:00 in the morning because I had to learn, because it was anatomy, which was one of my worst fields, I must say.
I think that everyone's is the worst field.
It was in German, and it is also the adjustment in a system that you didn't study yourself in it.
Exactly.
My colleagues and my department, let's say the department boss, he was a few years before retirement, and he was really a master in his field. So one day he called me and he said, listen to me, I am not accepting that my people are doing a so-and-so work. He didn't want to say that I did that, but it was in the very beginning. He said, I expect that you will be coming in all my lectures, and 3 times a week, 6:00 in my office, we will be working specific things together. So private lessons.
Yes, but that's, the approach is different. He just didn't beload you. He just wanted to lift you up.
It was me and another guy. Those days, we were going home like 10 o'clock in the evening, and you cannot say no.
And you don't want to say no because you really want to absorb.
Well, sometimes I must say I was so tired. And this guy, he was the old type of scientist, very rigid, very German, very
structured.
And he wouldn't take no for an answer. But I learned really a lot from him. I'm very thankful. And then what happened? Then I was asked from the Department of Vascular Surgery to go and take over the research department. And for them, of course, having a veterinarian is, they have a biologist and a veterinarian in a pack of one. Because I could do surgery, I could be in the surgery with them. We could modify protocols, and at the same time, I could basically establish almost every method they needed.
It was ideal for them.
It was for them ideal.
Did this shape the philosophy of how you're actually mentoring now your students as well and younger scientists? What is your approach on that?
My approach, I try to adjust on the person because it is important to see the personality. It is important to see a little bit of the background of the person. Because those are relationships that take trust, and the amount that each one of us can trust comes from home. So it is important to be able to, you're not doing a psychogram, you are not allowed to actually, but it is important that you have a feeling of who is standing in front of you.
Your students.
And not everybody learns the same way, so you need to be flexible. There are people that learn with repetitions, there are people that are learning with pictures, there are people that are learning with text, there are people that like frontal teaching, there are people
Is the system there now tolerant on this diversity of learning?
Yeah, we try to promote it actually, because for us, this is the difference. Actually, you also studied in Greece, and you know that it was, at least in my time, it was absolutely normal that we would take an exam and 3/4 of the students wouldn't pass the exam, and that was normal. In the system that I had to work with, no matter where I work, that is not acceptable. If that happens to you, you will be immediately called from the dean and you will be asked why this happened.
Yeah. Because it's actually the professor's failure.
Because it cannot be that you are teaching dummies, because those people, before they enter the university, they went through specific exams, which means they fulfill a minimum standard. So either you didn't supply everything they needed, you didn't teach it properly, or there was a human hindrance between you and the students. So whatever it is has to be solved. So this thing and such an exam would be cancelled immediately.
It's very interesting. That's very interesting. And
no, but it's not only the faculty I am in. This is how it works. It is not acceptable that students do not pass the exam. Okay.
Yeah.
And especially after the second repetition, which the modern systems are not putting the repetitions like 6 months later or 2 years later, because you forgot everything. Teaching is progressive, which means I'm not teaching now the way I was doing it 2 years ago. And there are always new elements.
You have to enrich your methods. You have to
build. And many times it can be that the curriculum will develop, and then all of a sudden people will find themselves in a new curriculum. And what are you doing then? Yeah. Anyway, I think it is, and we are evaluated.
You're evaluated as well, just as the students are.
And your students are evaluating you. This is the thing. I mean, for every module that I am teaching, I am evaluated.
And I think that this is how it should be, Maria, actually.
So if you think that we are having in our department, I think about 12 modules within a year, we're evaluated 12.
Yeah. And this is how it should be. So you work, your work bridges the veterinary medicine, the anatomy, the molecular biology, and the cardiovascular research.
Actually, I am also, I took the specialist exams for the anatomy, because in Germany you are allowed to to go through it no matter what is your competence. There is a portfolio which you need to fulfill. It takes about 6 years and you need to fulfill your portfolio. And if your portfolio is fulfilled, then you are allowed to the exam.
So now that you have all of those things, how do you feel these fields are evolving over the next decades? What's your, the points of research?
I don't have that many decades. I definitely have one more decade before me. And I'm always saying you need to use your brains, otherwise it leaves you.
That's very true. That's very true.
Because many people ask me, when will you retire? And then you are getting closer, and I'm thinking, legally, I have another 10 years. So
yes.
And actually, I don't know for afterwards. No promises.
And retirement, to me is not a good word.
I bring it up.
It is like retiring from.
Many people are looking forward to it. Many people are looking forward to it. I mean,
the minute you will stand still and not do anything is the minute that you will get older and, die, even though you're not dead. That's my perception of things. But I don't know if it's a good one.
I can understand people that have a profession for a living, but if you have the chance to have a profession that basically is your hobby
and nurtures your soul,
nurtures
your mind, your soul.
My mind, yes. My soul is not nurtured by it, but my mind, yes. And it is challenging, and challenges keeps you challenged.
So what nurtures your soul? Because you said no, my profession, no. What nurtures your soul? Tell us some things.
I believe our soul is nurtured by our values and by our relationships.
Friendships, huh? Long-lasting
relationships in general. Whatever kind of relationship you feel comfortable with.
High relationships.
The thing is, there was a time that I was thinking, okay, good relationships are only the high quality relationships. And then at some point, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 years ago, I realized that my life has myself as a reference. I am the center. And around me are several people that are in different circles, in a different distance with me. And of course, there are those that are really close.
Satellites.
But there are all those that are, a bit further. The relationships are not bad. They are just a bit more distant. And those are also very, very valuable. And as soon as you realize that, then you realize also that you cannot just have expectations. You are the center of your world, but not the center of anybody else's. And I think then you are a bit happier. And
so what motivates you to keep pushing the boundaries of research, despite all the challenges in academia and in research as well? Because we know that research does not always...
The deepest belief that I didn't come to this world for nothing, and I have my own little purpose to fulfill, and I just hope that I will manage to do it.
If you weren't a scientist, what else?
It would be the same. It would be the same, because I have asked this question many times, and I thought, if I would live 3 generations ago, most probably I would be a housewife, most probably with many children. And I would have to take care of my family, my, cook, whatever. And I think this is an equally noble task.
Yes. In terms of a career, if you weren't a scientist in this era, not in another
in this era, what I would like to do.
Yes. What would you pursue?
You will laugh.
But the point that you told me is very interesting, and I want to talk on that a bit further later. But tell me now, what would you do?
Laugh. If I wouldn't be in science, I would be in fashion.
I truly believe it, because I think that there is a lot of art in science, contradicting people that are not advocates of that.
And when I was studying in Greece, I took some courses in fashion. And there was a time that I was making my own clothes. Everything I was wearing was...
So clothes, not glasses, not...
No.
It was clothes.
No.
And why? Do you still do it? Do you still do your own? You don't have time?
I do a lot of handcrafting because that relaxes me. But I'm not really showing as I used to. But that's what I'm saying. I think I would be in fashion.
But you know what they say, that the best surgeons, the best endoscopists are either musicians because they're doing, handcrafting with their hands.
Yes, and I'm doing a lot of surgery at work, microsurgery and microscope,
Yes.
and a lot of that.
Yes. And do you do it in rats, guinea pigs?
I'm doing it in rats and I'm doing it in mice. I can make a vascular anastomosis with.
That takes a lot of skills, believe me.
So that's why I'm saying it. I can make a vascular anastomosis with 12-0. And people say, oh, you're so good. No, everybody can do it. You have to practice a lot.
Definitely. Practice. Do it over and over again. And with the rise of the organoid technologies now and the in vitro models, what do you think? Do you believe that we're reaching a point that we're not going to use any animals in research? Because I know that this is a very, very controversial field amongst, discussions, scientific discussions. Do we need pigs? Do we need the beagle dogs? Yes. Do we need mice and rats testing?
I think if this era comes, it will take. I don't believe that even the next generation will live to.
Okay, because now there are a lot of organoid models, especially in the
but
US.
The organoid models, they give you a lot of information that you need to filter. And then the question is if I want to filter it, because that's how we also work. We take such things. It is very difficult to filter.
What is the biggest limitations you think that the organoids compared to living animal
because
models?
They don't have the somatical context. They don't have this complete physiological context. And actually this is the reason that you have to go to the animal models, or before the animal models you have to go definitely to 3D cultures, and organoids are before that, because that is the only way to filter. There is no other way to filter. When I was in the Human Genome Project, and that is really long time ago, it was the time that the first chip technology was coming out, and people, which are the forefathers of organoids, and people were saying, oh, this will be great, and gene expression, and we'll get out of the cells, and we don't need the expression systems, and blah, blah, blah. And today, 2024, you say you cannot still go out of it.
And bioethically, how do you feel about that? Because I know
fine. I feel fine with it, because I would rather, if you remember the first vaccinia experiment was done on a child. I would rather have, I'm writing, Germany is very strict in that, and I'm in a constant with the responsible ministry. There's coming and going almost every week.
Back and forth of papers.
Because they will send you back your applications, and they will ask for details that you will think, am I a veterinary student yet now or not? But that's how it should be. If it is not precisely understood, and if the person sitting ahead of me, who is another veterinarian basically, has a doubt about it, then he should send it. And I feel fine with it, because we use mathematical models on the number of animals that we are supposed to use. We use mathematical models on the methods that we are using. It is not like, I had a brilliant idea today, and I think I should take 100 rats and just start doing things with them. No. And during the whole experimentation, I have to document everything, because any moment somebody can knock my door and say, okay, open your books now and show me, what did you do? So I don't feel bad with it at all.
So you say that there is enough control, and
at least where I am in Germany, there is enough control. Actually, there is more control than I would wish, because we could do certain things a bit faster. Because using 6 to 10 months just to have an approval of your experimentation, I'm not talking about getting a grant and everything. I'm talking about only the animal experimentation license.
I know, but this is how Europe is, and this is actually the mentality of Europe, to be very, very cautious in the steps. Elsewhere in the world, things happen more easily in every aspect, but I don't necessarily think that this is good. It might give you a drawback in your research, but you have all the security, levels.
If you think you can get into the European portals and I don't think even the ACDC in the United States, I'm not so sure the data are so as valuable as ours, because here you can get into the data sources of the find data on any European country, on any disease, number of animals, and what have you.
That's transparency and that
Or at
scientific
least I would
democracy,
say, because
that
nobody is perfect, I'm saying a high amount of transparency. That's a high amount of transparency. And Germans, of course, have their attitude is, if you do your job well, this is normal, this is expected.
yes, this is what you should do. It's not
If you
something to be
make a
praised.
mistake, then we will check on you to see why this happened.
Yes.
One thing I learned in Germany is not to take criticism personally.
Yes, everywhere in the world you
I'm
shouldn't.
not criticized for my substance. I'm criticized for my output. And this
Yes,
can always get better.
for your actions. And their aim is to make you better, actually.
Not always the aim of people, because there's a lot of competition, and wherever there's a lot of money, there's a lot of competition. Of course, I don't take it for granted that everybody's motive is to make you better. I don't care less if his motive is to make me better or not. The question is, can I get better? Can I improve myself?
Is this constant pursuit of grants, like in every university in the world? This is, this is something that should be.
Otherwise, you cannot do research.
Yeah, you cannot do this research.
We also do industrial research, which means a company can come to us and ask us, I have this product. It is licensed in China, the Netherlands, whatever, but it is not yet licensed in Germany. And to have it licensed in Germany, we need to have a German group doing something. I mean, if it is something we can do, and if it is something that fits also with our schedule, because it depends on how much you have to do, then we do it.
And do you also have animals for training? For example, whenever I do endoscopy courses here, we use live pigs, and I always, I'm so, I'm practically very sad after. Do you use also pigs, live pigs, for example, or beagle dogs,
For what?
or for training purposes? When I do endoscopy courses, for example, I always use live pigs, and I'm devastated after that, because they go on to being
No, we don't.
euthanized.
No, we don't. We don't. For many things, we are going to the slaughterhouses and we are taking, for educational purposes, we are taking material from there.
Yeah, that's good.
And I know, for example, I was last year in a course for a new laser that was used, laser knife, from the gastroenterology department. And of course, they didn't take any live animals. They went to the slaughterhouse and they took different parts of pigs, because pig resembles human very well also in size. So they took livers, they took several things, and that they practice on them. I mean, you don't need to.
And now with robotics and everything, you can do everything in modules, like the training
but with
part.
robotics, because we have a very strong robotic system where I am, models are not enough.
Okay.
Because the thing is, you need this pulsing system that you have it only in live
Tissues.
animals, in live tissue. In robotics, very often they take mice and they also take rats, because they are very small in size, and actually the artwork is that the surgeon that works with the robotic system, those people, they don't wear shoes, they work with naked feet. So
Why is that? I didn't know that. Why is that?
Yeah, they don't wear their shoes because they work with their hands and also their feet.
Okay.
So they're sitting in front of the screen and they work with both. So you can't wear your shoes. Most of them don't. And you have to work in a very small dimensions. For example, because we have in the urology and the gynecology department, let's say you have cancer in a woman and an ovarian cancer, and you have to robotic systems offer you the opportunity to pick every lymph node separately.
Yeah.
And try to avoid a massive hurt of the abdomen, because that was what happens with the open system. You dissect and You take everything out, you take what you want, and what is left, you put back in. The idea with the other system is that you will take only what you need
Just do
out.
minimally invasion
Exactly.
in everything.
Lymph nodes are really tiny. So those people work with rats and with mice because they learn, and also they have to stitch very small vessels. So using really small animals and learning to use your tools, because people think robotics, oh yeah, great, I push the button and it does the job. It is not like this at all. You need an excellent, actually,
Skill set.
the surgeons that perform robotics usually are surgeons that excellent surgeons in open surgeries. It's just their question now, because I have quite some friends working in this field, their question now is what will happen with the next generation, because
of the artificial intelligence. And I wanted to ask you about that in your work as well, in molecular biology, in the research. How do you think artificial intelligence and computational models will play,
well,
a role and
computational
place?
models are not something new. And in the research, computational models, they exist for the past more than 30 years.
Yeah, but now
And
we train artificial intelligence, even in robotics. They have
yeah,
surgeons
but
training
still,
the
you have to
robots.
filter the output. I mean, this is the thing with the artificial intelligence. You cannot rely on it to make the choice for you. People think I don't need to learn anymore. Okay, if you won't learn, you won't be able to make a decision, which means you will make wrong decisions.
You can't imagine what they've done with machine learning and how they have given the decision making to robots as well into the most possible scenario. But the problem is that the most possible scenario will never
But
happen
those are
in medicine.
scenario. This is all scenario. I don't see it really in practice. I think other areas like economics or politics, it will be another story. But in science, because there are scientists, to be a scientist by nature, you're somebody that is setting everything in doubt. So you will select, let's say, a few primers with artificial intelligence that will prove that they don't run the direction you want them, and then you will realize you will have again to check them with the database, which is what you were doing before. I mean, people say artificial intelligence, like, to make it's many decades that we are using special search machines to pick sequences, to decide what we will amplify, or you find a specific sequence and you put it in the database, and the database will give you resemblances so that you decide, okay, does this amplify to protein or not? All those are the forefathers of artificial intelligence. For scientists, as I say, I still have hope, because the nature of a scientist is that he's doubting. Of course, there are the people that want to publish fast, but usually history has shown that those people don't live for too long. I mean, there is this history for this Korean guy that had huge amounts of money and he published false results. I don't know what happened to him.
Yeah.
You
They,
never
they are
hear
erased,
afterwards what
actually.
happened.
This rule, this medical and scientific rule, that you have to be transparent, you have to be honest. And don't you remember?
I'm more anxious for the financial sector and for the political, on what people will try, just because it's a scientist.
Science and power and finances are all entangled together.
But still,
in very strange ways.
People that have hands-on, which are the people that work on the bench and are people that have dirty hands, those people are questioning. And I see it also even in the students. They come and they say, no, it's not exactly the way you are telling to me. It may be different. And you are saying, but then, I make a step backwards and I'm thinking, no. I mean, he's developing now his character.
Yes.
I have to let him speak, even if he tells this.
And how is it living in Germany today? With all the turmoil that has been happening in Europe, and with the landscape now, with the world changing landscape.
Well, the world was always changing. I don't believe there was ever a moment that this world was not changing. People that live in their castles think that the world is not changing.
Yeah, but there was different kind of dynamics back then.
Yeah, but still, and change is always underground. I mean, this is the nature of change. It is underground because as long as it is established, then it gets into the system and it becomes routine. It's no change anymore.
Very true. That's very good. That's a very good point.
I'm not trying to say that I'm cool with everything. I'm not. All I want to say is that I'm conscious that I cannot change everything. It's very little what I can influence. And I like living in Germany. Germany is my second home. I live longer in Germany than in Greece now. I'm a citizen of both countries, and there are certain aspects that I am Greek. There are certain aspects that I am very German. And I think this is the wonderful thing of our generation, that we can call ourselves Europeans and being Europeans. This is something I'm very proud of it, and I love it, and I wonder people that fight it.
We are the only continent that we have so many different cultures, and because the US has many states as well, but they all speak
the same language.
Yes. And we are so different culturally, linguistically, yet we have this, unity, or maybe I am romantic to think that we have this unity. And
well, Germany is no romantic country,
Yeah, I know.
It's the last country that could claim romance.
But it was a country that had
love.
Huge tolerance and adaptability, and gave space to every European to speak and to
Yes,
to live in the frames of the country.
that is true.
And not only Europeans, people from all over the world.
As I say, I am very grateful because Germany gave me what Greece couldn't give me or denied to give me. And Germany gave it to me. Many times gave me things without necessarily asking, putting a limit to it.
Just because you deserve them. Maria, what is the meaning of life? Why are we here? It's very early because you're very young to put, a label on.
I'm a little old-fashioned in that because to the embarrassment of other scientific people, I'm still somebody who believes in God. And this is the reason, this is the deep reason, deep in my core, that I'm saying the world is always changing. And I'm not responsible for the evil, but I am responsible for everything good that I can produce.
That it is within my reach and I can change.
Yes. Or who knows, a butterfly flies in Japan and then something else happens on the other side of the earth. I don't know the impact. But for me, this is the main thing, to try to live in this world a little bit of what I think that I believe.
Is it a matter of legacy, leaving behind your legacy?
No. No, because I don't believe in legacy. Because we will be remembered at least for the next 2 generations of our family. That's it. But I do believe in the memory of our genes, and I do believe that this has also an epigenetic impact on other people.
Definitely. Epigenetics now is
your students, the people you are with.
The way we carry ourselves actually influence so many people around us that we might not be aware of. And this is what I always try to carry myself with honesty. I just, present what I am. And I think that you're doing the same thing. You don't have, second or third faces.
Let's say I'm trying to be wise because I definitely will not show something that I'm not, but I will definitely won't claim that I show everything that I am. Because you need to have wisdom also on your good, because it's not always the appropriate moment. So
sometimes silence is best, huh? And
or waiting for the right moment to give something or
and people, we have this tendency to jump on and say our opinions and be opinionated about things. You're right.
I mean, I am a very opinionated person. That is true. I want
You're Greek, after all. How couldn't you be?
Yeah, and I think also as a person and as a woman, that I have defined my walk. My parents didn't want to limit me. I didn't get married, so I defined my way and at times took responsibility for others, but not necessarily others for me. It makes you opinionated, otherwise you won't survive.
Definitely. And yesterday it was Women's Day. How do you define happy many returns on that as well?
See you
How do you
too.
define, thank you. How do you define the role of the women in academia right now, in politics, in different fields?
I think it is much better. I remember like 30 years ago, you would go in an interview and everybody could ask you if you intend to have children in the near future. And that was okay. And of course, that meant if you were around your 30s, 35, or even 40s, that it could be that you wouldn't get a job just because
You're in a reproductive phase of your
exactly.
life.
And even though the person across from you would be a man that had at home a wife that was, let's say, CEO at home, huh? Because we are talking about real CEOs at home, because he does nothing there. Yeah, but I believe it is much, much better. And I'm saying if my parents that lived in times of no emancipation brought me up me and my brother in a very positively emancipated way, with no distinction between a boy and a girl, and we both had to learn everything.
They both offered the same chances.
And if those people could do it, I think we should do much better.
Yes, definitely. In every aspect, we should.
And my mother once was asked if she loves her son more than her daughter or her daughter more than her son. She was saying, I love more each child at the moment that it is in need. And actually, this is the attitude should be our attitude towards the people. And I always think of that concerning my students, my colleagues. I should give more of my attention depending on the need at a given moment.
Exactly. And our attitudes towards the people that are in need, and I'm not talking only about the students, about the geriatric population.
Everybody sometimes is in need. There's no person that has been, there we have eras and times in our life that we are in need.
Are you easy to ask for help? Do you easily ask for help?
Yes, if I believe that I need it. I mean, I don't ask for help for every little thing, but for things that I cannot do, yes, I do.
And I find it brave as well to ask for help, to be able to ask for help, because this pride.
It is a learning process, huh?
Yeah.
Especially if you are in those professions as ours, that you are learning to be a doer since you are 15. Huh? You are trained to be a doer.
Exactly.
So it is difficult, but I think you learn it, and it has a lot to do with your family. If you grew up in a family that was a little bit, in incubation room, I could go back in my 30s, my parents, and slip back to my age of 15, stay there for 3 days, and then go. And if you have such spaces in your life, I mean, there comes a time that they become less and less, but you also need them less and less. Those things allow you to think, okay, if I need help, I should ask for help.
Mariam, thank you. It has been a wonderful conversation with our morning
We spoke
coffee.
about everything except for too much science.
Yes, but we needed to get to know you better. We already, people might look into your scientific achievements, but I want to find out more about the people behind the bench. How do they carry into their lives, and what do they do? And we can actually go a bit further more into science as well at round 2. I cannot thank you enough. Thank you. Your words have been very inspiring, and I think that everyone will enjoy
I
listening.
thank you for the time. I must say, Panagiotis called me and asked me actually he told me I should do it. He didn't ask me to do it. He really said the best for you.
I'm very
you.
thankful. I'm very thankful
And
to you and to him.
he's right. He's right. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presence here, for everything. And we're going to do a round 2, talking about molecular biology more next time, and choose a topic on molecular biology that you're passionate about, and we will get into that.